9:30. Seeing that we have a quorum, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Each of you guys had an opportunity to receive the minutes from the previous meeting on December 10th. May I request a motion to accept the minutes?
Madam Chair, I make the motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. You guys have also received the payment of claims via email. I'd like to request a motion to accept the payment of claims that were sent out by email. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, aye for myself. And we'll go ahead and hear from the superintendent at this time.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Tonight, we're seeking approval of a services agreement with Sanitary Management and Engineering, Inc. for water and sanitary sewer line locating services for the year of 2025. This is basically when residents call the one call with 811 and they call for locates. They come out and they mark our water and sewer lines, sanitary sewer lines. This is an agreement we've been with for the last
Sorry.
7 years, I believe. Yeah. And we're just continuing on with that. We're also seeking approval of change order number 2 with Connexco Inc. to decrease the cost of the water service line potholing project by $233,750. This was part of the lead service line inventory potholing project that we had. We managed to get the work completed at lower cost than what we had anticipated, so we saw some savings on that. And then as a note, also, while I was at a conference earlier this month, I went to a presentation by the EPA on this matter. This is one of the first milestones that we've met. There's probably more gonna come down the road, so it's not completely done. We'll probably have to revisit this at a later time, once we find out what the new regulations are. We're also seeking approval of amendment number 6 with Wessler Engineering to increase the 2020 water main replacements contract B phase 2 project by $14,000 per change order number 5 previously approved by the USB. The contractor case agreed to pay for the RPR and the construction administration fees incurred when the contractor didn't meet the final completion date that was set in the contract. Instead of us assessing liquidated damages, they agreed to pay for that. So that money came back to the city of Lawrence. Now we're paying Wessler Engineering that $14,000 to recoup their money. And then also this evening, Baker Tilly is here. Andre Riley with Baker Tilly is here to present the 2025 budget to you all, and answer any questions you may have. And then also we're seeking approval of resolution number 3, 2024, to establish the salaries and wages of appointed employees of the City of Lawrence Water and Wastewater Utilities for 2025. We also have 2 account adjustments on the agenda, and we recommend approval for both of those as well.
Any questions, any discussion?
Thank you, Paul. Miss you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And I do apologize about, I'm having a little bit of congestion, so I apologize about that. Again, thank you, Paul. My name's Andre Riley. I'm a partner with Baker Tilly, and I'm here to present the utility budgets for 2025. So I guess water drew the short straw, so to go first, and then I'll jump into sanitary or sewer. If you have any questions, please stop me during the presentation. I'm going to try to be a little bit high level. The format is a little bit different than what was presented in prior years. That was more in an internal process. Is obviously we're external to that, but a lot of the information is exactly the same. It's just a year newer. So I'll just jump into some of the highlights on the water side. And I believe you have the presentation in your packets, so you can follow along with me. This may be a little bit hard to see. if you don't have the report in front of you. But this just basically establishes how we prepared the budget for 2025. So at a very high level, we did a trend analysis from the prior years. So we looked at 22, 23, and year-to-date 24. So we looked at any anomalies, try to eliminate any of those, and just the typical expenses that you incur in operating the water utility. We also took information from Paul and Andy, and along with Tina, especially around the salaries and wages and benefits. I think there's a resolution that you will be considering tonight, and all those that same resolution was used as far as with us preparing the budget. If you look at paragraph 2, you can see here more of your operational or non-human capital costs. There was a 3% inflationary factor. Again, things are going to be a little bit different depending on what type of expenses you're going to have. As you can see, chemicals were about 10%. We had some insurance expenses about 20%. So those were going to be a little bit higher than your 3% increases, just because you can look at current claims and in any adjustments for future contracts. They're going to be a little bit higher than that. But anything else that you just don't have all the information on, we're going to adjust it up about 3%. Inflation right now, I think, is running a little higher than 2%. But again, that's typical in this industry to adjust things around 3% unless you have fixed, known, and measurable items that you can adjust up a little bit higher than that. We also looked at your debt service payments. On the water side, I believe you have 4 to 5 bond issues, and so we made sure that you could fully fund those debt service payments. There's a payment coming up 1/1/2025, and then there's another payment that's due 7/1/2025. And then you also make sure that you can fund that next 6 months, looking forward to your 1/1/2026 payment. So we made sure that there'll be sufficient funds available for that. And then in your operating account, internal policies, you try to have a balance about $1 million. So after you make all your transfers, you get through the year, you'd like to have about $1 million just as a buffer, just in case something happens. You never know. You have a lot of underground facilities. It's pretty intensive just to operate and maintain a water utility. So $1 million is about 2 months reserves. So let's just say you couldn't generate revenues for 2 months for some reason. I've never seen that happen. Well, I'll take that back. I have seen that happen one time. But it's always good to have a buffer. And then also in your bond documents, it typically requires that you have 2 months reserved or 2/12, and you have outstanding debt. So that's about, again, you could have a little bit higher than that, but $2 million is just like a safety net you would have at home, right? About 6 months, they say 3 to 6 months of your operating expenses to have in the bank. So here you're required to have 2 months. So we see that happening just as long as everything occurs as we anticipate. In section 2, still on that first page, you can see all the outstanding par amounts. So you have the 2017 bonds, you have the 2017 A bonds, you have the 2017 B bonds, and then you have the 2020 bonds. So those all have payments that are going to mature, or the final maturity is going to be at different times. But we don't see any issue making any of those payments. So on the second page, here's the payments through 2020 or 2050, excuse me. They're a little higher right now, and then they'll drop off as some of the other bonds mature. So, and as far as capital improvements, after you are sufficient in your operating account, you make sure that you have a fully funded bond and interest account and a debt service reserve account. Then the waterfall last is the capital improvement budget. and we see that you'll be able to make a transfer about 4.2 million. Actually, it's a little bit higher than that because you do have to pay the pilot.
That's right.
But we do see about 4.2 million being available from cash in the door to be able to fund continued improvements on the water utility side. I'll pause there. Any questions so far? Hearing none, okay. Continuing on, again, here's the details behind the last two full calendar years. Then we looked at, we annualized what we saw at least through 2024 with any other information from management as where do we think 2024 estimates will land as far as receipts, disbursements, and any transfers. And then what we anticipate to be the ending balance of $1 million. And then in that far right column, again, where we're thinking revenues are gonna come in, there are no additional, I think the last rate increase on water was 2020. So we are in the process in 2025 of looking at rates on the water side. Again, the budget will be a starting point for that, but then we'll look at rates depending on what management and the mayor want to do. We'll look at rates probably at least over the next 3 to 5 years, what potential impacts or any other improvements they want to do. But 2025's budget, the revenues don't anticipate at this moment any adjustments in rates. So they're still about where they were the prior year in 2024, at about $11.7 million. Expenses are operating disbursements, this section down from there, still about where we're anticipating 2024 to be, even with all the other adjustments, increases in salaries, benefits, in other adjustments. We still think that the anticipated or estimated to be your total operating disbursements will be about 5.4 million. Some miscellaneous receipts coming in the door, about 890,000, and then you can see the transfer of 1.7 million to your bond and interest fund to make those payments in 2025, and then what we anticipate to be the transfer of about 5.3 million to the capital improvement fund. And from that 5.3 million, there is a transfer to the city general fund of a little over $1 million for the pilot. And you'll see that on pages after this. This is the funds coming in, the 1.7 million to the bond and interest fund, and then how it gets paid out to the various bond issues. This next page
If I
is,
could make one
Yes,
just
ma'am.
comment.
Mhm.
As you consider the incremental, well, the rate increase, I would like your consideration for incremental, because in historical times, we didn't always make that decision on the onset.
Mhm.
So it's just easier for the citizens of Lawrence when we don't do it all at one time, whatever that turns out to be.
Okay,
Mhm.
duly noted. Here's the details around the capital improvement plan. Again, the 5.3 million coming in from operating, and then you can see the difference, the 4.2 million of available funds to fund the capital improvements or planned capital improvements, and then a little over $1 million being transferred to the city general fund. And then the details behind this is very helpful for Tina in the controller's office. We have detailed out, all these other pages are really just details so they could help put the budget in New World, which is your ERP system that tracks your day-to-day expenses, your cash balances. And so really what we just went over, this is the details behind it. So the next few pages as I go through, unless you have specific questions, it's really just the details behind the summary that I just went through a few pages ago. And then after that is the amortization schedules of the outstanding debt, which are 17A, B, and then your 2020. And here is your combined schedule. This will show you that, like I said, your debt service is about 1.7 million. It'll drop off a little bit over time as, you know, some of these other bonds pay off. And then it's it's about 1.1 million through the remainder of the amortization schedule. So with that, are there any questions on water?
How will this information be communicated to the citizens?
Excuse me?
How will the information be communicated to the citizens?
This information, this is a public document, so, you know, I'll defer to Paul and the mayor, how they want to communicate it, but I imagine it could be uploaded to your website, or I think that's what's been done in the past when there's been a budget approval. Yeah, it's been uploaded, so,
Thank you.
mhm. I will then go through this, the sanitary, or, I apologize, for some reason I have sanitary district on my brain tonight instead of sewage works. Essentially the same thing, just different form of government. Again here, the highlights are almost identical to water. We looked at the last couple of years, we looked at 2024, we made adjustments based on salaries, wages, benefits, insurance, other things. The big ticket item that I would say the biggest difference is on sanitary, or excuse me, on sewer, you do not have your own treatment. So you send all the sewer that is collected in the city goes to citizens. So the largest expense item in your budget on sewer is the purchase treatment that you send to citizens. And we do anticipate that you do have a approved increase of 8% going into effect in April, and that coincides with the increase that will incur from citizens. Their rate is going to be about 2.48 per 1,000 gallons that you send to them. So again, sort of like on water, there will be an analysis at the same time considered, because in 2026 there is anticipated to be an adjustment up in citizens' wholesale treatment. I don't know if you have anything to say about that at this time, but no. It's just it's going to occur. So need to get ahead of that. So at the same time, be looking at sewer rates as well. There are outstanding bonds. You have actually 5. You have 3 2009 bonds, you have a 2015 bond, and then you have a 2022 bond. And right now, I think all the way through the amortization schedule, it's a little over $2 million a year. And we anticipate that to be funded in your bond and interest, and to make those payments with no issues. Also, you're funding a debt service reserve. When you issue debt, typically there is a reserve for revenue bonds in place, and in some cases you can fund it up front, or you can fund it over 60 months or 5 years. The city at the time of issuing that debt decided to fund that up over the 60 months, so that will end sometime in 2027. So it's about a $20,000 transfer from your operating to your debt service reserve on a monthly basis. We also anticipate about 1.6 million being transferred to fund capital improvements. Likewise on sewer, there's about a tick over $2 million that's in the agreements when you all took over the sanitary district, or the sewage works from the city of Indianapolis, and that will transfer to the city general fund. So on water, you have a hair over $1 million. On the sewer, it's a hair over $2 million to go into the city general fund. Similar to water, here's the detailed operating receipts and detailed operating disbursements. It's about 14.8 million we're anticipating or budgeted to receive in 2025. That doesn't, as you can see, between 2024 and 2025, that is an 8% increase. That is applied to all customers. And then we do anticipate about $8.5 million in expenses. As you can see, the second line down, you see salaries and benefits, and then you see treatment expense. This year, it's about 4.7 million, and then next year it's about 5.2 million. So over time, and that's typical when you have to purchase treatment from a wholesale provider, they typically will have increases in their costs. So about 8.5 million in total operating expenses. All the other expenses are fairly close to what we've seen in prior years, but we do have slight inflationary increases on the expenses. As I move down, you have, again, some miscellaneous revenue coming in, and then the transfers to the bond and interest account, the debt service reserve, and then to the capital improvement fund. And we anticipate, again, about a 2-month reserve of about $1.4 million. Fund 607 is your bond and interest fund. Again, money coming in about 2.2 million, and then disbursements out for the bond payments, and then a transfer to your debt service reserve to make that to fully fund that balance. Capital improvement, again, 2 million to the city for the pilot, and then what's available for capital projects of 1.6 million. Again, all the details to help Tina and the controller's office input the budget into New World. So all those details are behind there. And then again, the debt service amortization schedules, and then your combined schedule. Again, here you can see you've already made your 7/1/2024 payment, but all your annual payments after that are a little over $2 million. So from our analysis, the utilities are healthy. We see no issues to be able to move forward with the plans they have. As I stated previously, there will be several analysis done to continue to look at rates. We think that's prudent. We always encourage on an annual basis all our clients to review their rates and charges so they can keep up with inflation, or just I'm sure they could speak to it. Active recruiting goes on when you have skilled labor. They're in high demand, so the market does move on you quite a bit, and you need to be ahead of that. So all in all, we think the utilities are in good shape, though. Happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion, any questions?
No? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we do not have any unfinished business. We do have new business, and I would like to request a motion for the approval of service agreement with Sanitary Management and Engineering, INC DBA, as Samco of Indiana Corporation to perform water and sanitary sewer line locating services for 2025. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. May I have a motion to approve the change order number 2 for Connexco INC to decrease the cost of the water service line potholing project by $233,750. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, may I have a motion to approve amendment number 6 with Westler Engineering to increase the cost of the 2020 water main replacement project by $14,000? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Presentation and adoption of the 2025 water and sanitary sewer budget. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Approval of resolution number 3, 2024, establishing the salaries and wages of the water and sanitary sewer employees for 2025. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Under account adjustments, may I have a motion to approve the sanitary sewer adjustment at 8216 Harrison Drive for $393.95 due to a water leak in the pit?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. May I have a motion to approve sanitary sewer adjustment at 5203 Traditions Drive for $622.71 due to a leak in the water line behind a wall? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? May I have a
Second.
second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And quick question, Superintendent, do we periodically, because sometimes these numbers go up and down, send out the app just as a reminder?
Yes, we remind them of the Ion Water app
Okay,
so they can monitor that stuff.
correct. Okay. Remonstration rate?
Ma'am,
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. I hear a lot of people complaining about their water bills,
Mhm.
but I don't know if there's any way we can put out in our newsletter kind of an explanation of what your water bill entails. It's not just your water, it's your
Mhm.
sewer, it's your trash. People just tend to think it's nothing but water, but it's a combination of everything, really.
Mhm.
I mean, and try to correct them and tell them, you know, it's not just the water, it's your sewer, your trash,
Your trash.
getting rid of our wastewater. I don't know if that would be beneficial or not, do you think, Paul?
I can add that to the list,
Just
Right.
a little explanation, where does your money go?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And then I think it's important to say that our water is a lot more healthier and cleaner as a
I'll
result.
second that. I think we have very good water, as a matter of fact, very good tasting water compared to
Glad
some.
to hear.
Okay. Anything else? Any other
Thank you, ma'am.
thoughts? Thank you. Remonstration of ratepayer dispute regarding disconnect notice, there is none. Citizens' comments? Please. Would you state your name and address? You have 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Daniel Rapp, 5718 Waldingwood Drive. I have 2 items that I want to bring to attention here for the citizens of Lawrence to know about, and it's related to the budget. First item, last week at the Common Council meeting, it was stated that City of Lawrence employees were not going to be getting a pay raise due to the financial condition of the City of Lawrence. But yet, whenever the budget was presented, I saw a 3% increase, and I assume that the schedule for salaries and wages, hourly wages, that you just approved had a 3% increase. So I don't understand why you are approving a 3% when the Common Council said no pay raise. That's item 1. Item 2, during late summer, early fall, when they were talking budget, the item of utility customer service came up. And it was the in-person office customer service that was discontinued during the pandemic. Pandemic has been over with for a couple of years now. And the question is, will the utility people have in-person, quote, in-office customer service for fiscal year 2025? I did not see anything in the budget that said it was happening. Those are my comments. I thank you for your time, and I will expect maybe a comment in the minutes telling me, or the citizens of Lawrence, what you folks are really doing.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments,
Madam
sir.
Chair, may I?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Sir,
Sir?
Mr. Rat?
No. You want to make a comment? Make a comment. Don't address them to me.
If I could,
Go to the city of Lawrence, to the citizens.
people don't understand that these are two different pots of money. You have the city money and you have the utility money. We don't have anything to do with their money, they don't have anything to do with our money. We pay our people out of our money, out of the earnings that we get, we pay for our equipment, we pay the staff. We can't dip into their pot of money, they can't dip into ours. We take care of our business, they take care of theirs. And people seem to think that it comes out of the same pot of money, and it doesn't.
And also for the record, I'd like to clarify, at the time we engaged Baker Tilly to do this, help prepare the budgets for us, we did factor in the 3% raise for the employees. It is included in their analysis, but we will not be receiving the 3% because the Civil City did not receive their 3%. It was just factored into the budget. It's not that we're going to be able to do that.
Thank you for clarifying that.
And then on the second topic, we also included what we had already financially gathered as far as cost estimates on what it would cost to open the lobby. We included that into the analysis as well. We're still in the process of gathering that information to see what all work we need to do to upgrade the lobby. Security is a major factor right now. It was included in looking at the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your concerns that you raised tonight, and we'll make sure that we keep you abreast of the progress on both of your concerns. Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments? One other thing, I think it's helpful, as Mr. Riley stated, it was a high-level budget. In past times, we've done a dashboard, if you will, so that it's a little bit more friendly to our consumers, the citizens, so that they have a kind of a quick and dirty is what people generally say, of the budget. So if that's possible, to create something like that. If nothing else claims our attention, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.